Welcome to Political Alchemy, coming to you from Captain's Lounge Studios. We're going to talk about S.I.X. However, my guest is going to fully explain everything that's going on. But Jonathan, I tell you what, why don't you give just a little 2-minute overview of who you are, what you're doing today, and then let's get into the subject.
Sure, I'll try and keep it to 2 minutes, but thanks for having me again. I appreciate it. So I'm the State House Representative for Colorado's House District 11, which means I represent about 77,000 people in the cities and towns of Niwot, Longmont, Lyons, and Allens Park, so sort of northern Boulder County, everywhere from the suburbs and plains all the way up to the doorstep of Rocky Mountain National Park. Before this, I was a social caseworker working with kids in poverty, kids in danger of falling into the criminal justice system or even victims of abuse and neglect. And so 4 years ago, almost 5 years ago, I made the leap and said, I'm sick of people, writing the rules of the game to hurt the people that can at least stand up for themselves. And so now I'm standing up for them at the Capitol every day.
Perfect. So let's talk about S.I.X.
Yeah. So this is exciting and new, actually. So some people may be familiar. There's a group out there called ALEC or ALEC. It's the American Legislative Exchange Council. ALEC is a group that was basically funded and founded for corporate purposes. There are large corporations thinking, well, look, we need to progress our causes. We need to write our rules of the game to benefit ourselves. And so they started working to actually create template legislation that you can basically copy and paste or cut and paste and put it in any state possible. What's unfortunate about this group is it's actually been affected or infected by a lot of just extreme radical Tea Party and right-wing thought. And so when you look at bills like the one that hurt Trayvon Martin down in Florida, things like that, where you see these Make My Day laws that open up gun laws in a way that make it unsafe for our communities, it's actually ALEC that was writing these bills, not lawmakers, not communities, but actually this separate entity. So labor leaders, environmental leaders, community leaders, advocates for people of color and women's rights groups have all gotten together over the last couple of years and actually founded an organization called the State Innovation Exchange, or the S.I.X. And S.I.X.'s purpose is actually as a response to ALEC to say, you know what, we've got great ideas on the other side too. We've got ideas that will support people, support education, support our communities of color, and actually create stronger communities and stronger economies by actually building our communities up. And so that's what S.I.X. has started to do. They had their second national conference just a couple weeks ago, and now we're off into the races.
Oh, most excellent. Do you see any particular battles coming up in the very near future?
Well, I think there's the biggest question that's looming over all of our heads right now is what happens with a Trump presidency? What are the erosions in federal law that have protected people for either years or even decades now going to go away? Is that issues related to a federal minimum wage? Is that issues related to clean air and clean water provisions? Is it going to be something related to the fact that we aren't going to have a Department of Education that's actually headed up by someone that either A, has been an educator, or B, had a child that's gone through our school system? So now it's really up to our states to provide those answers, to make sure that even if the federal Clean Power Plan isn't going to come into effect, that we can still do something at the state level to make sure that the air we breathe and the water we drink is safe, that college is still affordable, that we aren't discriminating against women and people of color and putting them at risk on our college campuses or in the community at large. So this is ultimately what the S.I.X. is about, is taking those good ideas and instead of just creating template copy and paste legislation, we're a little bit more open-minded and they're a little bit more open-minded in the idea that we're going to exchange what good ideas are working in other places. So for example, just a couple weeks ago, we had a state senator from Colorado, Senator Morgan Carroll, who's term limited, who talked about making sure that we have legislation that protects women who have conceived a child from rape from being forced to have contact with that rapist because they have had that child, decided to have that child. We didn't have that law on the books in Colorado until a couple years ago. That law is not on the books in a lot of places. Morgan Carroll's got this legislation. We're sharing this with other states. And hopefully this is going to be a template we can use in other communities, in other states.
So this really is an interstate group all talking together, not necessarily to fight, well, I guess it is to fight, oh, how do I put this? The problems that central government and state governments can come up with taking away the rights of people.
That's a huge component of it. So I think you're talking about that. I think the other thing that you're looking at is also ensuring that we have a response to the state conservative takeover of states that aren't necessarily conservative states. And so we're making it easier for legislators to look at what other good options are out there, whether you're struggling with how to provide services for people with disabilities, or at the same time make sure that, you know, with the new Every Student Succeeds Act, the new version of the No Child Left Behind bill, that we're actually creating better options for kids and parents. Part of it is to watch out for whatever federal overreaches might be happening, but part of it is just to come up with good ideas that actually help our states move forward and, you know, reflect the value that everyone deserves a fair shot.
Right. Valuable work. Is there a way that the general population can be involved in this at either a very low level or a relatively high level, or?
Absolutely. I mean, I think one of the things that people can do is they can, and I don't have the website off the top of my head, but who uses websites? We just Google things like State Innovation Exchange, and you can actually see how to get in contact. They actually were just out in Colorado earlier this week with Western lawmakers, west of the Mississippi, looking at what kind of environmental advocacy can we put together to make sure that we are protecting people. And so there will be opportunities for citizens to participate in this. If you go to their website, people could have even gone to the national conference that just happened in Washington, D.C. I was lucky. I actually had a constituent who came out of her own volition and, you know, basically participated in this. And this is an amazing opportunity to hear from experts in the fields. We heard from everyone from Elizabeth Warren to Cory Booker to Nancy Pelosi. So you got, you know, sort of the whole progressive wing, from your moderates to your super progressives, all saying, here are some ideas that you can look at. You know, what can we do to, you know, make things work better in your state? And part of that really comes from citizens. Most of that comes from citizens in Colorado, because guess what? We have term limits in Colorado, so I'm not going to be there forever, and that's probably a good thing. So there's an opportunity for everybody to participate. If you've got a particular area of expertise or an area of interest, you can take a look at that. And S.I.X is really formulating what those areas of focus should be. Is it environmental justice? Is it a focus on the economy? Is it making sure that offshore corporations actually pay their fair share of tax credits or taxes? Part of that priority is going to be based on how interested people are. That's what democracy should be about.
Right. Absolutely fascinating. I tell you what, why don't you grab the website and send it to Thom via email, and
Absolutely.
We'll make sure this is plastered all the way through the video. I'm now going to put you on the spot. I hope you don't mind.
I'm already here, so I can't leave. So.
Well, it would be a little bit difficult. This actually is a worry for a lot of people in Colorado, and I've heard it talked about, the marijuana industry. Do you believe, from what we have seen of Trump and the people that Trump is putting into positions of incredibly high power, will they try and actually criminalize marijuana in states like Colorado, Massachusetts, California? Do they have the power to do that, or will they get slapped around a lot by the Supreme Court?
Well, it's certainly a burning issue, isn't it? So,
It is.
So
In more than one way.
That's right. No, that's right. So this is a big challenge, and this is why elections have consequences. For those folks out there where marijuana might be your top issue, either because you were tired of a criminal justice system siphoning valuable dollars away from critical services, or whether you're somebody that believes that, college students who are using something similar to alcohol shouldn't have to go to jail. This federal election, this national election, is going to have consequences. And with somebody like an attorney general like Jeff Sessions, if he is nominated and if he is actually serving, what he puts in place can completely upend the system that we've got right now. It's actually still a federal crime. Everything that is happening in the state of Colorado, whether you're a consumer, a patient of medical marijuana, a doctor that has written recommendations, or a dispensary that is profiting off of this, you are breaking federal law right now. The only thing that is the saving grace at the federal level right now are two memos from the Department of Justice, the Ogden and Cole memos. If those memos go away, if new memos are created, or if those two are scrapped, we're looking at a system that could potentially be completely upended. Now here's, I guess, the silver lining in all of this, is that almost a majority of states now have legalized marijuana in some form or another. So the question is our Attorney General, whoever that is, and the Trump presidency really going to be focused on recriminalizing something that's similar to alcohol? Or are they going to start allowing states to take their own approach to this? We've seen that teen use hasn't gone up in Colorado. We've seen that actually the state has taken in over $100 million in new taxes that are going to our public schools and drug treatment programs. I don't think this new presidential administration wants that nightmare, that political nightmare on their hands of upending a service or upending a program when there's a 2018 election cycle coming ahead. The vote to legalize marijuana got more votes than the President of the United States. Mm-hmm. We know it's more popular than Barack Obama, Mitt Romney, or Donald Trump. So the question is, do they want to put that much skin in the game on that issue before a midterm that may decide who maintains control of the Senate, who maintains control of the U.S. House, that maybe serves or doesn't serve a Trump presidency the way that he or Mike Pence want it to. Mm-hmm. So I think, I've been an advocate of legalization, not because it's something that I care to use, but I was tired of people of color and others being targeted for something that is similar to alcohol. You see a huge bipartisan support of this issue. You see people like Cory Booker and Rand Paul working together on this.
Yes.
So with so few bipartisan issues out there, I don't know if this is the Pandora box that they want to open. But elections do have consequences, and it's something that we're going to have to be on guard for. And it's something that we'll have to be vigilant about as state legislators to really present a unified front to our federal government to say it's working, leave us alone, we're doing it right, and we're actually building a better Colorado.
Yes. Sorry to put you on the spot, but it was a question that sprung to mind. My son's in the industry.
Oh, okay.
Okay, I'm a child of the 60s. I'm going to say nothing more than that. So yes, it really is fascinating. Unfortunately, I've got a horrible feeling that with the people Trump is putting in place, they're going to try and make this an issue. It came up more than once.
It did come up more than once. I mean, for better or for worse, Governor Christie is out of the Trump cabinet or cabal or whatever you're going to call it. But he's been voted off Trump Island, and so that was actually a good thing for Colorado. But a Jeff Sessions Attorney General. Yes. And this is where we need to get involved right now. Get ahead of the curve. We can talk to our Democratic and Republican lawmakers and say, this guy, this person who actually, his problem with the Ku Klux Klan is that they were too progressive on marijuana issues, might be the next person that's rounding up people, putting people in jail for something that's similar to alcohol. I don't think that Democrats or Republicans will stand for that in the long term. Right. And like I said, that we're going to hear there will be a large trumpet call if they take any efforts. If they try and do something, yes.
Thank you so much for joining us down here at the Captain's Lounge.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Absolutely fascinating. Thank you very much for watching this video. Political Alchemy will return. Thank you.